Hey, it's Dragon Heist time. Today I'm talking about more stuff that the book doesn't talk about at all. This is more so just gonna be probably me explaining some stories about the NPCs in the game that I've had, but it should hopefully give you a little bit of a, I don't know, insight onto how the NPCs can be a lot more involved in the story and how they can kind of create more intrigue in the plot of Dragon Heist and beyond, etc, etc. The book Dragon Heist gives me some of my favourite NPCs. A lot of them have big legacies like Durnan, Mert, Jarlaxle, the Xanathar, etc, etc. There's a lot of like classics, if you know what I mean. Some people are like, I haven't read the Drizzt Do'Urden books, but apparently there's so much more Jarlaxle lore in there, and I need to get into those purely for that, because Jarlaxle is one of my favourite bad guys I've ever ran. But yeah, it definitely gives you a lot of NPCs. That can be overwhelming, and I think that the best way to deal with it is ignore most of them. That's honestly the best way of doing it. Just pretend that they're not there, because unless you feel like they are doing things in the background while the party are doing something else, ignore them. You don't have to worry about all the little intricacies. Emosaurus Rex, I'm sorry, but you're doing way too much. So yeah, anyway, I'm here to give you advice maybe. I did want to first talk about how I made the NPCs more of a big deal and got my players invested. And the main way I did it was them being important to the kid. There was a child party member, it was Laura actually. Patch, how old was Patch? Like 7? 11, right, 11. Yeah, I'm mixing up dates in his backstory. But 11-year-old boy, little, you know, karate kid monk. And yeah, Patch was like kind of important to the story. Because Laura came up with the basic concept of blind monk, which is, you know, quite a cool stereotype in my opinion. And we were both considering how it would have happened. At birth was always an option, but I considered making it more of a plot point. And I eventually decided that Patch was had acid poured on his eyes. That was something that Laura agreed to, don't worry.
I think we both came up with it.
We both kind of came up with it. But yeah, I had eventually decided that it was Jarlaxle that did it, or at least one of his lackeys in particular. And I knew why. I'm still not going to say why, because Laura's there, and it's important, and it might come up again. So I'm just not going to say why it happened, because the party still doesn't know either. But Jarlaxle does. He did some weird shit. And yeah, I decided that that would be a much more like large incentive for them to pursue Jarlaxle, who I was planning to make the main villain. So yeah, Jarlaxle was involved in a much bigger way. It kind of made the entire party a lot more mad at him just out of proxy, because, you know, Patch was the kid. When there's a kid in the party, it fucking shifts the dynamic, I swear. Everyone's a lot nicer. Like, I imagine there would have been several child murders were Patch not there. There was only one in that campaign. Valdor, freaking dummy. So yeah, there was another person that I also made important. Patch, as a blind monk, we were figuring, well, how is he a monk? And I came up with the solution, Hlam. Hlam teaches people in his monastery how to be monks and stuff, and his particular way of teaching as well, which is honing that and like slight clerical arts as well to kind of mix the both together. And I decided, hey, Patch was picked up, taken to Hlam, and Hlam got to work on training him, that sort of thing. That gave Patch more direct routes into the campaign itself in terms of not just, you know, villains and stuff like that, but also gave him, you know, a person that he could trust, like 100%. Hlam was there, even though he was a total jackass and not very likable. He was lawful good and did want to help. So yeah, that was kind of cool, and it created some fun interactions as well. So for instance, there's a quest in the book that's like, hey, go talk to Hlam, figure out some weird riddles that he has or something. And it changed the dynamic completely, because Patch was going up there, and like it changed the social encounter almost entirely from them begging like him to open up his frickin' mouth and start speaking, to him challenging everyone there and being like real antagonistic, and then 1v1ing the paladin and absolutely destroying him, because Hlam is like the most powerful NPC in the universe or something. And it even came, both of them actually came in later, once I had diverted from Dragon Heist onto other things, where I started introducing my main bad guy, which was a big black dragon called Akral. There was a big old fight where both Clam and Jarlaxle were helping, because it was kind of like the entire city of Waterdeep are going down into the Dwarven Kingdom or something to go and help out. And when things turned south, Clam almost sacrificed his entire life for Patch, whereas Jarlaxle ran the fuck away. And that made the party hate Jarlaxle more, and I think like Clam more. It was kind of a thing that I'd done where Dragon used its breath weapon, Clam was in front of Patch, and I was just like, it makes sense. Clam's just gonna opt to take all the damage and block Patch from taking any. Even though Patch had evasion at that point, he didn't want to take the chance, because he's a Chad. So there's just two examples of how I made NPCs more important in terms of the larger picture. I have definitely done it with other ones as well, and the party have got involved with a lot of different people that have extended way beyond Dragon Heist and kind of helped to create a larger story. Even though they didn't really interact with her directly too much, Lyrol Silverhand kind of began to get involved. She was there for that big old city fight or whatever, and she was pretty indirect with the party, didn't care too much for them, in all honesty. She was nice when they did have interactions, but was just like, yep, I gotta go rule Waterdeep, BRB. And later on they had like a big old meeting in a big old house, like big old political one and stuff like that. It was quite weird and tense, because like a king from another nation had came around and he was a bit standoffish. 7 foot tall human with like metal arms. Scary. And that kind of served the plot in a larger way, because she then pretty much, not really, but kind of gave them the next quest just out of being there, you know? It was a sort of deal of that there was a meeting that she'd mostly hosted and explained that gave the party a bunch of options about what the heck was going on and stuff like that. And I think NPCs are at their best when they're patrons. And I think my party seems to like the people that give them stuff the most. I wonder why. Players are inherently selfish, they want the cool shit. And when there's NPCs out there willing to give them the cool shit in exchange for them going and doing cool shit, there's no downside. Except with the Myriad. My party knows about that. And I think some of the best patrons in the book are Mert is great, he's a very friendly dude, very likable just out of proxy. He's been around in the business for a while, he can be quite a generous dude, and yeah, he gives the party quests in exchange for renown and sometimes even maybe gold, depending on how you run your games, etc, etc. And another good patron I find is Jarlaxle. I find Jarlaxle a great patron. He was kind of the party's patron for a little bit, because he almost blackmailed them into doing quests for him. He was the one who pushed them onto the Stone of Galore lead, because he didn't want to get his hands dirty too much, at least, and just wanted to get the party to do it all for him, you know what I mean? So he kind of acted as a patron. At one point, I think he asked the party to go and like heist a tower or something, like maybe Colat Towers even, I don't know. And he like lended the paladin his +3 leather for a bit. just so that he was more stealthy, and he was like, oh hell yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. Even though Jarlaxle is an unlikable piece of shit, I feel like my players liked to hate him, because he kind of acted as somewhat of a patron-esque person and was important to them in a way. So yeah, I definitely went on 8 billion tangents, but that's my video about how to make people a little more interesting. The main thing is just link them into the story in a way. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. We have a massive series. I don't know how many freaking videos are in it anymore, but this one's popping off, so awesome. You can join our Discord, which is in the description, where everyone talks about stuff. We have like 70+ members now or something. Oh! And you can also comment, which tells YouTube that you like us and that more people should. So if I were you, I'd just, you know, maybe go down there and say, hi Jake, sup, how you doing, boy? Here's my opinion. That'd be awesome. All right, you can go away now. Do that comment thing. Bye. It's not just like a
I knew that.
What?
I was suspecting that in the back of my head.
Yeah, wasn't it obvious?
Well, yes.
When you
but
started,
still,
you know,
I suspect. Let me feel smart for once, please.
you would have probably realised sooner if you did the Growlin thing. Because they were secret lovers, and that would have came out. But the party just left it to the cards, which I've never seen anyone do. They always go and do it themselves, but you guys literally were just like, yeah, we'll let them handle it, whatever.
That's debatable.
I came up with most of it.
No, I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your little smile for?
Talking about Patch.
Patch is maybe alive, who knows?
No, he is alive. There's no maybe about it.
Well, I mean, Valdor is, so...
Yes, I don't take anything else other than Patch is alive.
Yeah.
Not telling me anything otherwise.
It's a rational belief.